I'm Aden Matthews.
And I'm Zach Snyder.
And welcome back to a new episode of another YouTube podcast, the one-stop shop for anything and everything and all the things related to YouTube. Here we are. Wow. Another episode. Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was bound to happen.
50-something episodes.
You know,
we had a good run. Aden do the beginning of the episodes.
We had a good run, and then it
finally,
derailed.
Bad intro.
Off the track. Because I didn't have a funny intro bit. You know, usually I have a funny haha intro bit, like the show where I didn't really have one this time. So it kind of worked out that I fucked up the intro. Because now we have it here. So
comedy at its best. Welcome back. It's a new episode.
Wolfpack.
Another YouTube podcast. Wolfpack.
I feel obligated to say it every time. For no other reason than I know it'll piss off people.
It so much. I did want to announce something that I think is pretty funny. And from this point onwards in the podcast, I will no longer be playing Tetris while recording these episodes. You may be thinking, Zach, what are you talking about? What are you talking about Tetris? Well, if you go back and listen to other episodes of the podcast, you'll probably hear like a slight little clicking sound.
Like a keyboard.
Entire episode.
Yeah.
And I decided I should probably not do that.
I mean, you've done it before.
Yeah.
You've gone episodes where you're like, I'm not going to play a game today. But then there are other ones where it's like, I'm going to play the game the whole 4-hour time.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, not to say that you were absent from the conversation, but usually like if me or you stop and you can just focus on Tetris and you can hear like a little D-pad like
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta actually bring it back on track. But that's epic. No, it's wonderful.
I think so.
I'm very excited. So you gonna play Fortnite during the podcast?
Playing Fortnite, bro.
That's much better.
Yeah.
So now instead of loud tapping, it's just clicking, going, fuck. Damn.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are we dropping, boys?
How are you building this game? I don't know. I don't know how this works.
I don't know how to do it. So, anyways, we're back on that. Your week on YouTube trademark bullshit.
Your week on YouTube. This might be one of the shortest ones, simply because, like, usually one of us has something to talk about, but I don't think either of us do this week. I'm gonna be honest.
I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think either of us have a lot.
It's been I've been super busy. I'll go ahead and start this one.
Yeah.
Since you started the last one. I've been super busy with family stuff. So literally the last few days, I've been like over at my family's house all day. So I haven't done anything really YouTube related. I'm still in the middle of like editing my Crash Bandicoot You're Already Nerd episode. Hoping that'll go out in the next few days. That'd be epic. Basically, I've given up on the idea of daily episodes again. So that's cool. I don't care. Like I just simply, I just want to make my episodes good. Eventually they'll go out. It'll be epic. I've been reading a lot. I mentioned that before. Almost finished with Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings book. Like 40 pages done, or 40 pages left. So I'm finishing that today.
Okay.
So that'll be epic.
Pop off.
And then we've been playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
And
sure have.
I spent money on Fortnite, so I got to make a video on it before the end of the year so that money can be tax deductible. And then I got to pay actual taxes. I got to pay my taxes finally this week because it's the tax season is almost done.
You hate to see it.
So, you really do.
You hate to see it.
You really do.
I guess not if you're the IRS, but normal people, I guess.
Yeah.
A little stinky.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll do a YouTube taxes explained episode.
We should do that because that's a topic that's like never talked about, and for good reason. Like nobody like, ooh, taxes, clickety click. Can't wait to hear the boys talk about paperwork. Like, But it's one of those things that I think will be super helpful, and it'll be one of those things where, like, if anybody does search up how do I do YouTube taxes, will be the first result there by default.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not as complicated as it sounds, but it do be stupid. So you got to learn how to do it. Fortunately, though, like I was a tax preparer for an entire season, so maybe next year when tax season starts back up, we can do that episode. It'll be epic.
It will be.
That's really it. I've been trying to keep up with my client work, been doing family stuff, been reading, and hopefully I'll put on a YouTube video again soon.
You forgot the big thing.
What's the big thing?
The one thing you actually did between the last podcast episode and now. A new venture in the Your Everyday Nerd.
More?
In the Your Everyday Nerd format, Yin Live.
Oh yeah, okay. So I decided. So one of the issues with my show is that every episode that I work on, I'm like, I want to make it better. I want to make this episode better than the last one. A lot of that time in between the first 100 episodes was like, how can I make the audio better? How can I make the video better? I bought some new lights recently. Forgot to talk about that. So that's epic. So after these next 5 episodes that have already been recorded, we'll be having new lights. So the video quality should be substantially better. So that's cool. But then another aspect of it is also like pacing and editing and script writing and, constantly just trying to improve everything. And so when I do that, it means that episodes don't come out as frequently. Mm-hmm. But I'm not consuming content at a lesser rate, which means that there are more and more episodes every single week that I feel like I could make of this show. And it just doesn't happen because of time restraints. So I was thinking of, well, could I do a video where I talk about multiple pieces of content in one episode? Here's a couple movies, here's a book, here's a video game, here's an album, talk about it all in one thing. And I was like, I could, but that's still going to be like, well, how frequently am I going to do this? How am I going to work on the editing? Is it still going to be like, are they still going to be good videos? So I said, how can I make it dumber? How can I make it easier? And I decided to do something called Yin Live, which is just me talking into a camera for 2 hours in a live stream and talking about a lot of the things that I had kind of consumed recently, some updates for the show, and talking to the audience directly, mm-hmm. which unfortunately I didn't get anybody that I don't know personally in the live stream, but I got, the people that are usually in the Discord to come and hang out with me for a couple hours.
The bros.
I am curious a little bit more about what you think about the thing, the mm-hmm. concept, but I'm also I've only done one of them so far. I don't know if it's something I'm going to be doing frequently. We'll see. There's definitely a lot of things that have to be hashed out before I feel comfortable with it. But what did you think about it?
I think initial thoughts were, oh wow, this is the wildest history class I've ever had. Professor Zach just talking in front to the stream with those little slides that were all out of order, and he had to go fumble through all of them in history class, and
it was a Photoshop document, by the way.
You spend 15 minutes waiting for everything to work, and then you get there, and you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then by that point, the class almost over, so it's all right, well, we made effort, we made plans. Ever since watching it, the more and more I've thought about it, what it really reminded me of was the newsletter, where it was just kind of Zach talking about the episodes he worked on, what he was working on, updates. But rather than it being this nice article for people who can read, it was a 2-hour extended version where it's live, and you get to see all the epic shit in Zach's room in his book collection. So yeah, those were my kind of two main thoughts. I think the format has potential to succeed. it's just gonna be a couple more episodes before I like get it.
Yeah, that makes
and I'm
sense.
sure you'll come to find like better ways to visually show it off and not have any hitches or whatever. But like you're essentially running a live show, right? And not like a stream where you just kind of play a game for a little while, like an actual live show.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of like a different skill set altogether, and I'd be interested to see like how you like come to figure that out. Even if Yin Live doesn't go anywhere, I'd be interested to see like what's the Zach attempt at trying to work on a live show with pre-planned content. I just think that's interesting. It's an asset that I haven't really like developed much on my own end.
I feel like it's a very interesting concept, and if I can get it down, I think it could go really well. The issues that I have with it right now is that it's like trying to keep an audience entertained for an hour to 2 hours with just me sitting here in front of a camera. The visual component not really working out with the Photoshop shit that I was doing, which again like complicates things. But also it's like I usually talk about those kind of things when I'm doing regular live streams on Twitch, but then I have a video game that kind of complements it, and I can kind of go off of that if I need to or whatever. It also is like trying to keep up with the chat and read it while also talking about the things that I've already pre-planned talking about, kind of pacing it in a way that makes sense is not easy.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I only know of like a few creators who like do this sort of style, and it's usually like educational stuff or Sean Cannell, like the Think Media crew. They do a lot of that on their live streams where it's just like slides and teaching you things and videos and things and like trying to keep up with the chat. But usually what they just do is they just do the whole thing and then they're like, all right, let's just answer questions at the end or something like that.
Yeah.
Just so there's not that active break. Or if you do take a break and read chat, you do it for like 1 or 2 responses and then you move on.
Right.
Which I still applaud you for like trying to add that chat element into it. But that was, when you look over the whole live stream, that's the element that took the longest, was the debate portion of it. And part of that was the topic, but part of that's also like you're trying to keep up with 3 or 4 people in chat and have your own opinions. Of course, it's going to take long to get through it all. So
yeah, I think adding the topic there is like, oh, that's cool, but I don't think it needed to be in there. And that was kind of a last minute thing, anyways. The whole stream was really like a last minute thing. I had the idea that morning and was like, yo, let me see if I can throw this together. So I'm sure with like a little bit more planning, it would work out better. But I got to decide if it's something I do want to do in the long run or even in the short run, because after I got done with those 2 hours, I was exhausted.
Yep.
Like it just wiped me out. I had a headache.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's enough for today.
Well, it's like live streams, right? You want to do them often. And you want to do them to hang out and do it and like build that audience and stuff and work on that skill set. But it's the type of thing where we do so much, it almost has to just be a thing you do at the tail ass end of the day, because doing it any time earlier just ruins any forward momentum or progress you're going to make later on. Because it's just so draining. And you wouldn't think it would be just watching it. You go, okay, sure. You read the chat, you play the video game, whatever. But it's mentally taxing from the moment you start to like doing 4 hours of balancing your mind between gameplay and chat and trying to be entertaining and knowledgeable. It's hard. It's hard every time I do it.
Some kind of energy in there, and that's the thing. Like you're putting forth energy, and after it's done, you're just like dead.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's something I want to do that much. I still might go back to like the idea of making a video every once in a while and talking about multiple things. But we'll see. I don't know. I usually don't know exactly, what I'm going to do with the show.
It's a test run.
Kind of a test for sure.
You're figuring it out. You'll figure it out for the next couple episodes. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. And if it does, it does. So nothing to worry about.
I agree.
Epic. So you had more to talk about than you thought you did. Forgot about Yin Live.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
The heck. I do not have anything of that sort to really mention at all. I'm currently in the process of working on 2 completely separate videos that was just going to be one video. And then I watched a film of peculiar quality that was pretty bad. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to make a video on this too. So now I got 2 separate videos in the works. One a more positive one a more negative one, which never happens. I'm usually one video at a time. Yeah. But needless to say, neither one has made enough progress to upload anything in the past couple of weeks, so that's unfortunate. And then really, outside of that, it's just trying to balance the other 30 different things I do. Like YouTube podcasts, we've been pretty on top of. Aden on Anchor, been pretty on top of. I've been working a lot on LHG-specific stuff. Like, yesterday I finished editing Shovel Knight. Today I'm going to work on the Mega Man versus, which I guess the first time I mentioned it, I guess. Hopefully it's out then, because I haven't mentioned the series up until now. It should be out. It should be, hopefully.
That'd be epic.
And then, like, I spent a good bit of today just working on, like, LHD versus intros for all the different pairings and stuff. And that, like, I could, like, edit a long video for 2 hours and be fine. But if you ask me to edit like 10 seconds of footage that has to be like flashy and good looking, those 10 seconds will be more draining than the 2 hours. Because like I can form the video together all just fine. But if like you need me to make an intro or a trailer or something to like really hook people in 10 seconds where each second has to look really good and the standards are through the roof, God, like that, it's a mess. It's a mess every time. And you should have seen these Vegas files I had where I had to like separate all these different parts to the LHG versus intro and shit and add different effects like soft flashes and dissolve blurs and timing it all and sound effect work. It's a pain. It's a pain in the ass. I know I've been putting it off for that long, but like needless to say, I'm very happy with how they turned out. You guys
look really good. Yeah.
You'll be seeing a couple of them shortly. But it's basically just the main LHG intro. But as the circle comes out, and you usually just see the logo, this time the circle comes out on like an animated fighting game background, and then the 2 cartoon heads, a versus logo, and like a soft flash matching with like a Super Smash Brothers Brawl sound effect. And it worked out pretty well. I fuck with them.
They look epic. I like them.
And it was only 2 seconds longer than the original intro, because those are 4 seconds, and then these are 6 seconds. So they're not like substantially longer, which is the thing I worry about. Is like, yeah, I could do a lot of interesting stuff with this, but I also don't want it to be a 15-second intro, right? Like,
no, not
brevity. Brevity is so important. And that's just the thing I'm recognizing in general is like now more than ever, I'm really focused on not so much including every good Aden line or every good line of dialogue or every part of an edit. I'm almost the opposite. Like, my main goal nowadays is like, all right, how much can I cut, right? Mm-hmm. How much can I get rid of? How much garbage can I edit out of this video? Because the shorter it is, the more likely people are actually going to sit through it, and it means I can keep just the very best parts in there. But it's almost like it's a switch in mindset, where I'm no longer focusing on, like, what needs to be said, but how short I can say all those things in.
It's a tough skill to learn, but I was forced to learn it when I started doing client work, because the first video that I edited for one of my clients, the total runtime was like 17 minutes, and I kept basically everything in. Like, I cut out all the the mess ups and stuff, but like everything else was kept in. And he had told me, he was like, I usually make videos less than 12 to 10 minutes. I'm like, oh. Okay. And so now every video that I get from anybody, and including myself, I'm usually like cutting out like all kinds of shit. Like, if it's unnecessary, it's out.
Yeah. Even good stuff is what I find.
Like, sometimes, yeah.
It'll be a thing like I was editing the finale of Shovel Knight. The original file, like when it went up on Blue Couch Productions, was an hour and 15 minutes.
Jeez.
which is a lot. It's a lot. It's like 3 stages, a lot of deaths, a boss rush, the final boss, final cutscene, etc. It's a lot of content. And so I'm like, okay, how can I get through this? And I'm looking over the original one, and I just like, I keep in so many run-throughs where I just die unceremoniously, and then I got to go back and do the whole thing over again. I'm like, why did I keep this in? Like, you know, like if it's a lot of deaths over and over again, then at least I could fast forward it and put some music behind it and turn it into a montage. Like, just leaving it in by itself. There were so many moments like that. When I finally got done editing it the second time, I got it down to 50 minutes. So it's about cut like 20 minutes of footage off the original, and it still like keeps all the necessary stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
and
good.
it could have been faster had I cut out some montage. I probably could have gotten it down to 40, but I liked the artistic elements enough to keep them in. So 55 is what I ended up settling on. Which is
that's fine for a finale.
It's
still a little too long, but you know.
I was just like, if I can get it under an hour, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
And I meant it literally. But even Blue Couch Productions videos, it's always like 40 minutes to 50 minutes. And shit, if I'm being honest with myself, only about 15 should really make it into the final video. I can convince myself that some things are important and some tangents are important, and I can get it to 20. Most times it's 15 max.
I think that's why I like to script my content. Mm-hmm. Because I know that you don't script your content, at least most of it. And so you end up with a much longer recording session, and then that means the editing session is going to be even longer. And I know that when I get in that editing room, I'm going to be cutting out stuff anyways. So if I can try to cut down on the stuff I'm going to say in the script, then it'll make the overall process easier. But no, I get you. It's tough. It is. It's why like. It's why editors exist for films. It's why, like, there's that do video games be too long argument that was recently on Twitter, and I was talking about how like every other source of media has like editors that cut out a bunch of shit. I felt like video games don't cut out enough, but the same could be said for a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube videos be too long, and not like I mean, you have people like Scott, where he could talk for an hour, and I'll go, yes, Queen, slay. An hour-long Scott video, I'll watch it. But then I'll be looking at, like, some of my own friends' content or whatever. It's like, 25 minutes? I don't know if I have 25. And it might be the best 25 minutes they've ever put into a video, right?
Yeah.
Now we're like, wow, they really went all out. But when I look at the time code, when I look at the video and thumbnail, it's like, 30 minutes. Ugh, I don't. I'll put it in my watch later, right? Or I'll get around to it. And I know I'm a big like factor of like a lot of Blue Couch Productions videos that don't get watched are the longer ones. Like I know damn well that I'm part of the problem. But I'm trying. I'm working on it.
I get you. And it's funny too, because I've been watching, like I said last time, I've been watching a lot of BookTube, and like a lot of those videos are really not that polished at all. A lot of these YouTubers, they just sit in front of a camera, unedited, talk for 30 minutes about books. And like, I should be bored of that, but I think it's just because it's stuff that I haven't watched in the past. It's like so like new to me. Getting more of these people's personalities is pretty dope. And so like there's definitely a place for longer form content that's not as edited. But
like
if you're
like
podcasts, you know? Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you're trying to get somewhere, I feel like cutting out stuff is going to help for people's attention spans.
And just makes you a better editor too.
Absolutely.
It speeds up your learning process and learning curve to the point where like you don't have to you figure out what's important. And it teaches you a lot about like transitions and managing time and what's important to tell a story. Because every video is a story, right?
Exactly.
And so in the same way that like you would edit a film or edit a story, each video has a narrative and a flow to it. And it's about just getting it just right for people to listen to. And so like nowadays, more than ever, I'm just such a a huge proponent of like getting it as short as humanly possible without like trimming off some meat. Closer I can get, the better.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Released a comedy EP. If you haven't checked that out, you should. Based off the Great Molasses Flood of 1919, killed 24 people apparently.
Damn.
So, sounds miserable.
Was it actual molasses or was there?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like a processing plant, and one of the kegs or whatever like got damaged and it flowed out. And not only did it kill 24 people, according to reports, because this isn't like Boston, this is a big city, right? Mm-hmm. According to reports, the smell was there for decades. So, like, 30 years later, and you'd still smell molasses in that area. Be people who'd be eating it, like, off the ground for breakfast or whatever, according to reports. And I'm like, that's probably unsanitary, but, it's the early 1900s. I get it. Whatever.
The Great Depression was happening. Like, might as well get that free molasses food, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
So, go check that out. It's epic, 7 whole songs on there. Each of them bangers. IMO.
Hell yeah.
And hope you look forward to more YouTube content in the future. And look forward to more epic episodes of this podcast. They're mowing outside. I should have thought about this. I don't know how much of it's picked.
Wow.
But
that's
okay, because Zach's gonna edit it all out. You're not gonna hear
all of it.
You're gonna go in and just get every single moment.
I wanna, before we end the episode, I do want to add something that I think you're gonna think is pretty epic.
Okay.
I checked another YouTube podcast email. And we got an email.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it from one of the homies or is it someone new?
So I'm gonna read it and I want you to guess who it's from.
Oh. Okay, go ahead.
So 5 days ago, Sunday, July 5th, it says, "Hey, Aden and Zach, keep up the good work with the podcast. Extremely informative and good to listen to. I would like to request that you talk about how to set reasonable goals, and I guess just how to organize oneself as a content creator may have already been done before. If so, I apologize. Stay epic."
Stay epic is what's getting me.
I'll give you one hint.
Yeah, give me a
hint.
The
subject of the email is in lowercase letters, and it just reads poggers.
It's Ramsden.
Yeah.
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 The only thing that was keeping me away from it being Ramsden was like sometimes his comments are like disjointed, like when we read them all over the place, and this was like very well structured for the most part. And then he said very epic, and I'm like, okay, it's either Jay or Ramsden. So
yeah, he
lowercase.
He tells me in a VC the other day, he was like, "Yo, Zach, have you checked the YouTube email yet?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. I don't check that often at all." Yeah. He's like, "Well, you should check it." I'm like, "All right, bet."
So, thank you for the email.
Thanks to Ramsden for the very first email at another YT podcast at gmail.com. If you want to have your email read on the podcast, you can hit it up.
We can do it. And as for your topic suggestion, I'll write it down. We'll put it on the list. Because that's a good one.
Absolutely.
I think that'd be a fun one to do.
Heck yeah. Cool. But anyways, with all that being said, I've been Zach.
And I've been Aiden.
And thank you for listening to this episode of another YouTube podcast.
Bye-bye.
Poggers.